school year. I'm pretty excited about it. I hope you are. I know that last year was a tough year, but with all the budget and everything, but I think we're starting to look a little bit better, and we're hoping that with some of the federal funds and all the different partnerships, we're going to do a lot of great work. First, I have to say, I don't know about you, but I'm really excited about having a dynamic dual in charge of this division. When you have people like Kevin and Claudia in charge of working for students, you know it's going to be right. It's going to be a fabulous year for everybody. I think change is good, and we're going to do some great things. And without further ado, I really is a privilege and an honor. I feel like it's the three amigos here, you know, my good friends here, because I've worked in lots of places, but I've heard a lot of people in public office say a lot of things, but they don't always walk the talk. And it's really exciting to have two individuals that actually walk the talk. And it's my privilege to introduce one of them right now. And this is a person who's done incredible partnerships with our school district and setting up things, coming forward, giving us ideas, and above all, giving us a lot of money. That without this person's help, we wouldn't have gotten the rainy day fund for the last several years to keep everybody employed here. And the list could go on forever, but a good friend, and I think, well, I hate to be a little bit biased, but the best mayor in this country, the Honorable Gavin Newsom. Come on up.
Stand a little closer, and first of all, thank each and every one of you for taking the time to be here to talk about an incredibly important topic, and one that candidly we pay a lot of lip service to, but we haven't resolved. And I can imagine no more important issue than the issue of dealing with the issue of truancy and drive-bys. For so many obvious reasons. You live this, you're on the front lines, you understand this. But you talk about a corollary. You talk about a cause and effect. You talk about a predicate to all the challenges we face in this country. Social challenges and economic challenges. There is one thing that they tend to disproportionately have in common. The reality is, though, we haven't substantively addressed this issue, which is extraordinary when you think about it. Something so obvious, something so clear, right in front of your face, that's so profound and has been so impactful for generations, yet we play lip service here. It seems like every single year we jump up and down and we celebrate that we failed more efficiently. That we made real inroads this year. We were 0.62% better than last year. We've stemmed the tide and we're moving now in the right direction. Till the next year, we face a different kind of budget crisis. Heck, I remember budget crises in the 1990s when we really didn't have them. When we had all kinds of surpluses, but it just wasn't enough money. Now we have a real budget crisis, and we just don't have the money. So the question is, do we accept reality, or do we continue to hold hands and talk about the way the world should be, or the way it used to be? As my grandfather used to remind me, when we were kids, young man, they would pick you up in a paddy wagon and throw you in the back of the car and drag you to school. Those days may or may not have ever existed, but they're clearly not in front of us. So the question that all of you have to answer today and over the next school year and the subsequent school years is, do you want to be part of the problem? Or do you want to substantively create, as we say in psychology, a pattern interrupt? The whole idea of an old record player and all those grooves, and that needle goes on the grooves and it just circles and circles and circles, and there's a predictive pattern all the way until the end. Or do we want to scratch that record and create that pattern interrupt? The district attorney is here. I am here. Superintendent is here. Kevin and his team are here. You are here because I hope and imagine you want to create that pattern interrupt. You want to scratch this broken record. You want to do something significant and no longer play in the margins. And you want to challenge yourself yes, to do more with less, not just as a throwaway line and a challenge, but to substantively look differently at the way we've been doing things in the past. Because before you could hire truant officers. Well, we used to have those people, so we can't deal with it now. Okay, that may be the case, but what does that send a message to someone growing up in public housing and their family and their future? We just going to walk away from it because, well, that person was laid off. I got too much to do. My job's overwhelming. We've got to look at this differently, including the city. And that's why a mayor that doesn't run the school district, that doesn't appoint the school board, is here saying we're part of the problem, a big part of the problem. And that came crystal clear to me when Patricia Gray came to one of my town halls I did out in the community and told me I was full of... Because she had heard me out there. Kamala and I did a press conference and we announced some of the good work she was doing, and she thought that was good, and then I just went off about how we're doing this at the Department of Children, Youth and Family, HSA's involved, Department of Public Health, all we have to do is solve. We're working to get more grant money, more federal dollars, more private sector money, try to get gay grants back, get good practice back, and all that. She said, you have no idea what you're talking about. I said, I'm so proud. I thought I got it. She said, you don't get it, and it's sad, and I don't think you're getting it right now, but here's my number. And she left. And she thought she'd never hear from me again. And I kept that number, and I was angry. I wasn't that enthusiastic about making that call because I didn't think she treated me with respect. And she only knew that I was serious about this and committed to this, and I'm trying. And so I decided one day to actually make that call. Got her on her cell phone, and she was shocked. And she said, all right, if you're serious about this, and not just one of those darn politicians, why don't you come out with me, not to school, but come out and knock on some doors, and let's visit some of these families. I said, well, why don't we visit the kids? No, she said, visit the families. Complete reframe for me. And that was the big pattern interrupt in my own consciousness. That this is a city problem, and it's not a school district problem. That there's nothing Patricia can do alone. There's nothing you can do alone. That in every case, on every door we knocked, and by the way, it was dominantly, you know where we were knocking. We were out in Sunnydale, Potrero, Huntersview, there West Point, Middle Point. And every door that was open, there was a family in crisis. It was the one common denominator. There were kids raising kids. There were mothers raising generational families. They were struggling. Folks were in need of help. And that's when we said, we got to do something dramatically different. I stopped going out with her because we realized we had a list of 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 folks. I was never going to get to them. So instead, I got a list of all the telephone numbers. And I started on Saturdays going down that list and making phone calls to a lot of your schools. What alarmed me is I thought I was just going to call the high schools because I had this other thing. And what was so damning is I was calling all these kids and their parents. And trust me, when this mayor person calls, the parents aren't particularly happy to receive that call. I didn't do anything wrong. Who gave you my number? This is totally inappropriate. And give me your name again. And so we had our work cut out of this. And so I'm here in that spirit of being willing to acknowledge our mistakes, our shortfalls, our shortcomings, and challenge not just you, but me, all of us in the city, to do things dramatically differently. It's what led up to this new TARP. It's what led up to the support for the CARP. It's what led to more resources, even at a time of declining resources, through Department of Children, Youth and Family. A different recognition, a different collaborative with the superintendent of schools and the school board, and many of you in this room. I am committed, not interested, in helping you in this process. And let me just, and I'll close because Kamala's busy. I know she's got to get up, and I'm sorry to take so much time. But let me assure you of this in life. I know this. If I know nothing else, I know one thing in life. And I think you know this as well. The difference between succeeding at something and failing at something is the distinction between being committed to something versus being interested in something. Interested people find excuses. Committed people find ways of getting things done. We must commit ourselves collectively to getting this job done, to address the issue of race, to address the issue of poverty, to address the issue of crime, to address the issue of social justice, to address the issue of budget deficits, to address the issue of this economy by addressing the issue of truancy and dropout in a more substantive and meaningful way. So I challenge you in closing to do this. In the spirit of Michelangelo, in the words you taught me when I was a kid in public schools. And that is, the biggest risk is not that we aim too high in terms of our goals and expectations and miss it. It's that we aim too low and reach it. Think about that distinction. Not that we aim too high and miss it, so we aim too low and reach it. We can't afford to play in the margins. We have got to set forth a goal, a stretch goal this year, and we've got to hold ourselves collectively accountable. I will do everything in my power to make sure money is not the excuse for getting these things done. We've got 26,000 city employees, a $6.55 billion budget. Trust me, money is our excuse. You think we'd have health care now if we had to worry about money? We had no money when we did health care. We had a $347 million budget deficit. We had a better idea. And if we come up with better ideas, I promise you, the money will follow. So I challenge you today, in the next few weeks, as we set up, tee up for this next school year, let's hit the ground running. Let's do something dramatic this year. Let's lead by example, as we always do at our best. Remember, you're the top performing urban school district in the state of California. 8 years in a row of improved test scores. You are the model for urban school districts in this state. You should be proud of that. Let us be the model for truancy and dropout reform. Thank you all very, very much.
You know, I've worked at 7 school districts in my life, and in a lot of the municipalities where I work, I would have done anything to try to get a DA that would ever want to work with a school district. I tried everywhere to get them, and every time I tried, they just didn't want anything to do with us. So I felt really blessed when I got here over 3 years ago, and all of a sudden I get a phone call from the DA. I thought I was in trouble. But no. Immediately, she was the first to say, we have these great ideas, we're ready to move forward, and we need your support. I went over there, spent a few minutes, and boy, I couldn't believe it was coming true. I thought I was dreaming it all. But it hasn't been a dream, it's been real. And for the last 3 years, we've been working together very closely, and really to have a DA that steps up and cares about our community and our children is just unbelievable, and it's a really honor and privilege to introduce my friend and our DA, Kamala Harris.
Thank you to all of you for the work that you do, because when we talk about the children that we are focused on today through the training, it is not about those people's children. It's about our children. It's about the children of our community. And I want to acknowledge and thank each of you individually for what you do, because I will share with you a personal story, which is that I am a product of California Public Schools. And my first grade teacher, Mrs. Frances Wilson, God rest her soul, attended my law school graduation. I would not be standing here as the first woman elected DA of San Francisco. I would not be standing here as the first African-American woman elected DA in the state of California were it not for the education I received from people like Mrs. Frances Wilson. has been discussed about be well, be safe, be here. It truly is not just about the natural concern that any human should have for a child. It is about what will be the future of our community and our state and our country. It is about not only what we are doing and should do around educating a mind, it is also about workforce development. And it is also, as your chief elected law enforcement officer, about public safety. Because when I did a study 5 years ago, I was curious about these rates of homicide we were having in San Francisco. And I wanted to know who are our homicide victims who are under the age of 25. So, staff people did the research, the data came back to me, and guess what I learned? 94% of the homicide victims who are under the age of 25 were high school dropouts. Then I came over and I talked to the superintendent, what's going on? Well, we've got 5,500 at the time, children who are habitually and chronically truant, and of the 5,500, 2,400 are elementary school students. So, I decided I was going to play the bad guy. And I declared, as you all know, that I decided that I believe, like we all believe, that a child going without an education is tantamount to a crime, so I'm going to start prosecuting parents for truancy. And it was controversial. And the letter went out on my letterhead. One of the things about being the DA is you get a badge. And there's an artistic rendering of said badge on your stationery. So I sent a letter out to every parent in the San Francisco Unified School District on my stationery, talking about the direct connection between the elementary school truant and the high school dropout, and who will be a victim of crime and who will be a perpetrator of crime. And then we started an initiative that was fully about a cooperative and partnership relationship with the school district around focusing on these children and the services that they need, that each of you have been providing. And as of today, after doing this initiative for so many years, we have improved the attendance rate for that population. We focused on elementary and middle school students by 33%. Last year alone, in the Unified School District of San Francisco, we improved attendance by 4,500 days, which has resulted in about $350,000 more dollars for the school district, by the way. And what it was doing was not about saying that we want to prosecute a parent. It was about saying we want that child to be in school. And if we shine this infrared light of public safety on an issue that a lot of people aren't thinking about, like an elementary school child missing school, perhaps everyone will want to give you the resources you need to be able to do the intervention and do the support work and the counseling with these families to improve the attendance rate of these children. And let me tell you, when I started looking into this issue, we found cases where, and in fact, we prosecuted, unfortunately, a case involving a 6-year-old who missed over 80 days of a 180-day school year after repeated attempts at intervention. But thankfully, we've only had to prosecute about 25 cases. And on the other end, because of this initiative that is a partnership, we have had intervention with thousands and thousands of parents that otherwise would not have occurred. And that work has improved the attendance rate of these children. And so I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for that, and also the feedback that you all gave us about the need to now extend this initiative to high school students. And so that's what we have started to do. So we're going to kick off this at the beginning of this school year, an initiative where we have received information from the school district about 300 high school students who have been chronically and habitually truant, and we have sent letters to those students. And we have started to have mediation with those students so that we can do the work of ensuring that they take seriously the need for them to be in school, either from you because you offer the carrot, or from me because I offer the stick. Because the bottom line is we need them to be in school. And statistically, we know that a high school truant is 75% likely to be a high school dropout. And we've already discussed who the high school dropout will become. So it's a very serious matter, and when I talk around this city, when I talk wherever I go, people are like, why are you as DA worried about an elementary school troop? That seems like a small issue. Why? Because it's a small person. Because the reality is, that child who is missing 60, 70, 80, 100 days of 180-day school year when they're 6 is going to be the high school truant and the dropout. And it will cost us a lot, not only in terms of workforce development, but in terms of public safety. In fact, the University of California, Santa Barbara last year did a study, and it tells us the cost is not just about public safety, but the cost to a state that is on the verge of bankruptcy around diminished public resources. It costs California $1 billion a year, billion with a B, in direct costs because of the crimes committed by truants. And if you include the social service costs, the public health costs, and all of the other related costs, this study has shown that it costs California on an annual basis more than $40 billion. $40 million a year. So I know through partnerships such as ours, we can fix these problems and we can change the course. And we can do the work that any civil society should be doing in investing in their young and investing in their capacity. And what we are all doing together is also about making a statement to these young people that we're not going to accept mediocrity. And that we're not going to accept the fact that they may be treated or think that they are not important. We are going to have these initiatives recognizing they are important and they are our future. And frankly, this partnership more than anything else motivates me to do what I'm doing because I'm trying to decrease my caseload in my office. And by you all doing the work that you're doing, perhaps I won't have as much work on my end. So for all of those reasons, I thank you, but this is very, very important work. It is a very big fix to a problem that manifests itself in many ways on the back end if we don't focus on it right now today through the work that each of you is doing. And I know it's not easy, but it is in the best interest and in service to all of us in this community. So thank you.